Every design project is an act of self-actualization. Think about this. Everything in the world you interact with changes you. Every interaction with a person, with a service, with an object, with a place, with other living beings, every moment of interaction with something that is outside of your body changes you. Simply because you learn something and you grow, regardless of whether this happens consciously or subconsciously. This is inevitable. This is the human experience. Now, as a designer, since a design project is an example of something you interact with, everything you design changes you. And I'm not talking about the fact that every product or service or whatever the outcome of your project is, interact with people, and through that interaction, people change. That also happens, absolutely. But I'm looking at this from the designer's perspective. Every design project changes designers themselves. The design choices that you as a designer make, the design journey you immerse yourself in, change you. Inevitable. That's the human experience. But the design process is a conscious act. Design choices are conscious choices. You make them. And when you design following your inner path, when your design project brings you to realize your full potential and to develop your abilities, when you design feeling that what you're doing speaks of who you are and what you want to bring in the world, there's an act of self-actualization. To what was the well-known sustainability triangle, where the three corners are economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability, I've added a fourth corner and lifted it up to make it connect all three other corners, transforming this 2D sustainability triangle into a 3D sustainability pyramid. The fourth vertex I added is spiritual sustainability, acknowledging not only how design can explicitly accompany people on their own journey of self-discovery, but also the spiritual journey of designers themselves and how what they design impacts their own lives too. All great traditions on this planet, all great teachers and philosophers and thinkers we have had tell us and teach us that we all have an ever-present, meaning-seeking flame inside. Most of us have felt it many times in our lives. Some of you might be feeling it right now. That sense of burning curiosity to figure out who we are and what we are here to do. That drive for inner development, for self-examination, that simple will to figure life out, to finally give ourselves to it completely. Spirituality is not related to religion. Religion can be considered one possible outcome or path of spirituality, but spirituality is also independent from religion. Spirituality is innate to every human being, even though awareness of our spiritual journey can vary. We are talking about spirituality in design because spirituality refers to a wide range of ideas, experiences, practices that are considered life-enhancing and related to humans' well-being. Spirituality is also closely associated with relationships, peace, joy, justice, and a unified sense of body and soul. These are all things we design for. Spirituality and creativity are closely connected. Creativity is pursued through practice, thinking, and reflecting. The act of reflection is often aimed at the search for truth, balance, harmony, and anything related to living our best life possible. For artist David Hockney, all creativity is about love. It has been widely recognized that creativity is the expression of the inner or higher notion of human concern, and that art brings human beings to their spiritual journey of understanding and growth. It is important to mention that the Sustainability Pyramid can be used as a design tool, a map for making choices and visualize the impact of our choices and our overall product or service. This is the way it is intended in this article. In this sense, we can see the interdependence of our choices towards environmental sustainability with our choices toward social sustainability and spiritual sustainability. Or we can see the causality relationship between our choices towards economic sustainability and spiritual sustainability. The Sustainability Pyramid can be a tool to check and assess throughout the process interdependence, causality, correlation, and any other relations between any of the vertices. As designers, we are all aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Oh, sorry, wrong slide. We all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how at the very top we find, in fact, self-actualization. When we look at this hierarchy from a design perspective, we see opportunities. We can use this to make choices in our design project. We can use this to try and bring people to fulfill one or more of these needs with our products and services. I would like to propose a way of looking at this hierarchy from the perspective of the Sustainability Pyramid. Let's start by considering the physiological need of having sex and reproduction. Expressing our sexuality is one of our basic needs, as it is a key component of physical health. Let's point out, though, that sexual needs are not shared by all human beings. Maslow also puts reproduction as a physiological need, and this too is not shared by all human beings. But for most people, sensual or sexual expression is a need. As designers, we find indeed plenty of opportunities to design products or services to help people satisfy these basic needs. But when we design with a higher purpose, when our design process is a conscious act of self-actualization, the product or service inevitably allows people, users, to fulfill their higher needs too. Indeed, a product or a service that promotes sexual health or that aids the reproductive process can also fulfill the needs for belonging, intimacy, meaningful relationships, affection, and indeed love. In the English language, we use the term having sex for our physiological needs and making love for our belonging and love needs. An easy example of how addressing one need can also address other needs higher up in this hierarchy. Sex seems to be related to the physiological need, but the moment sex is done with a higher purpose, the moment sex is considered a sacred moment of exchange between two human beings, then we use the term making love. I personally find interesting how we talk about the act of making love, creating love. A concept that is shared in the Italian language with fare l'amore, the Spanish language with hacer el amor, Portuguese, German, and I'm sure many others. From the perspective of the Sustainability Pyramid, we can argue that the act of addressing a product or service that fulfills people's belongingness and love needs beside their physiological needs is an act of self-actualization. Therefore, since design is a conscious process, since we make our design choices in accordance to our own moral compass and sense of purpose, design projects that fulfill higher needs for people are, or at least can be, a tool for designers' personal spiritual development. Let's consider now a shelter. If we design for the physiological need, we design products and services that offer protection. We can stop there, nothing wrong with that. But when we design with a higher purpose, when our design process is a conscious act of self-actualization, the product or service we design inevitably allows people, users, to fulfill higher needs. A shelter becomes a part of a collective of shelters, doors open to the community and hosting is allowed, spaces become places for gathering, meaning-making, knowledge sharing, and who knows, in the process, maybe even self-actualization for many of the people interacting with them. From the perspective of the sustainability pyramid, we can argue that the act of consciously designing a product or service with a higher purpose creates a process of self-realization and fulfillment for designers, and therefore can become an act of self-actualization and a milestone in our spiritual journey.